ThaBoxingvoice.com in association with FightHype.com here with Stephen Espinoza. I want to get your thoughts on the big fight. Obviously, if we talked about Tank, it wouldn't get uploaded in time, so I want to talk about Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao.
All right.
Just your thoughts on that fight before we get into details.
Look, we keep waiting for the fight where Manny Pacquiao gets old, and we haven't seen it yet. I thought, personally, I thought that Keith was gonna show his age against Keith. He didn't. He looks as strong as ever. So you got that athleticism, that speed. I mean, you got to give Spence the edge, I think, in my book, just because he's all around so strong. But you can't count Pacquiao. I mean, he keeps showing up and showing up at a high level. So, I gotta lean Spence, but it's not an easy fight by any way.
Do you think that Pacquiao can pull off a knockdown of Errol Spence? He was able to knock down Algieri 6 times, even able to knock down a Thurman. Can he do that to a Spence?
Look, anybody's vulnerable. Nobody's, Superman. But one thing we've seen from Errol, he's got a chin. I mean, you're in there with Danny Garcia, you're in there with Sean Porter. These are guys that, strong, a lot of power. It would be surprised. I'm not going to say it's out of the question, but I'd be really surprised. Errol's got a rock solid chin.
Now, it's funny you brought up Danny. Errol himself said I was only 70, 80%. So if we get 100% Errol, can we then assume he gets the knockout?
Yeah, I think if it's 100% Errol, his strength, his skills, the strategy with Derek James, if he shows up 100%, it's going to be a long night for Pacquiao, or a short one.
So, while I have you, can you clarify whether or not you ever sent an offer to Andre?
Oh,
to Demetrius Andre.
Let's go way back. I mean, we had the signed deal. You've seen it, and I've seen a lot of chirping back and forth. Look, you walk away from one deal for Jamel, that's one thing. You can't complain about not fighting Jamel ever again. Yes, before he renewed with Dazn, we made an offer. You've seen his quotes. He said, look, I'd rather take millions to fight Luke Keeler. That's fine, but don't complain you're not getting the big fights. If you turn down a very lucrative deal to get the big fights, I'm not saying that it's a wrong decision. If you want to take fights of that caliber and get overpaid for them, that's a very rational decision. It's a safe decision. But then you cannot complain about not getting the big fights if you had the opportunity and you did not take advantage of it.
Is the only way that Andre can fight Charlo is on Showtime?
I mean, look, Charlo's his own man, and we've had a long relationship. I think this was our 13th, 14th fight together. I'm not going to stand in the way of Charlo. So we certainly don't have a contractual thing. But the reality is, he wants to be seen. He's got a home, and especially with Dazn effectively leaving the U.S. for the most part, except for a handful of fights. It would be a shame that the fight that people have talked about for a while was on a platform that no one watches.
Do you feel confident you can get that fight for Charlo?
No, not at all. I mean, the ship has sailed. We made multi-million-dollar offer for him. Less than approximately a year ago. He didn't want it. I think he wants to complain about it, but he doesn't actually want it. There've been so many times where we and I personally have tried to make fights with Charlo, and it never happens. So I'm done. I mean, I'm not saying I would never put him on, but I'm not going to chase that anymore, because after I've had his signature, or we've had his promoter's signature, and it didn't happen, after we made lucrative offers and it didn't happen, that's fine. We'll move on.
So, do you continue to make offers to Gennady because of the popularity and the significance of the fight for Jamal? Why does the negotiation continue with Gennady and not with Andre, who seems to be willing now?
Look, I've said it to you. I've said it, to many other people. When people are negotiating and stating things in the press, there's usually an inverse relationship of what they really mean behind the scenes. So the more people say they want to fight publicly, probably, in my experience, the less they want it privately. So the reality, look, you say you want it, stop saying you want it publicly. pick up the phone, make some calls, try to make a deal. You know, and that's something that underage people have not done. Not once have I ever gotten a call from Eddie Hearn talking about making an underage fight. Not once I've ever got a call from Eddie Hearn talking about making a Golovkin fight. So he can do all the videos he wants. You know, he can sing, he can chat, he can, you know, throw parties in his backyard. If he wants to make a fight, he's got my phone number. You know, we've made fights in the past, we've made deals in the past. But, you know, at this point, you know, I focus my time trying to make deals with people who want to make deals, not people who want to make internet videos.
So, what is the biggest fight you think you can get for Charlo, Jamal?
I mean, honestly, look, I don't blame Gennady at this point if he's not interested. At this stage in his career, I'm not sure I would be either. You know, he is in the latter stages. Why take on, you know, a tough, strong, athletic, younger guy in Charlo? You know, he's got a couple fights, one or two, I'm not sure, owed by Dazn at a high price point, you know, for, you know, opponents that don't have to be top tier. So he should play out his contract. I don't begrudge him that. But I think, you know, realistically, the best chance for a big fight for Jamal is at 168.
I'm so happy you said that. Please tell me Showtime is pushing him to fight Jose Benavidez. That kid seems like he wants it. And
look,
Charlo is
that's
talking.
what I think. I mean, look, we can only control what we can control. And I'd love as much as any other boxing fan to see Jamal in some of those other fights. I've seen enough to say, look, I'm not going to not pursue it. I'm certainly not going to, you know, not answer the phone. But that's not where we're focusing our energy. Because there are fights that I know are imminently makeable. You know, Plant's makeable. You know, Benavidez is makeable. You know, Canelo is at least willing to engage in conversations. You take those four guys, you know, Plant, Benavidez, Canelo, Charlo, you know, you got 2-3 years of fights right there.
That's what I said. I said that you could offer Canelo, Plant, Benavidez, Charlo as a 3-fight deal and the world would be ecstatic. But Charlo, Benavidez could eliminate each other for a true Canelo opponent. Like, Charlo can't get the Canelo fight. Canelo took a franchise belt, but if he beats Benavidez, hard not to give him that fight. Same thing for Benavidez. If he beats the guy that the world is saying, hey, fight Charlo, Canelo, and then you get a fellow Mexican to beat him, that would be great. But now, there are quotes of Canelo saying, I won't fight another Mexican. You think that's just to the checks in his face?
No, yeah, I think that when there's a personal challenge involved, yeah, look, he will. I'm confident he will, especially when it's legacy. We've seen all through Canelo's career, he hasn't hesitated to take tough fights. I mean, fights that people said he shouldn't. You know, go all the way back to Austin Trout. People say you shouldn't fight him. They told him he shouldn't fight Errol Lara. You know, he takes fights that people think he shouldn't. Yeah. So, you know, if it's a Mexican fight, if it's another guy, he's about legacy. You know, and that's a big legacy fight.
Stephen, when are you going to send that offer? Because I don't know if you heard Canelo, but he's saying after Plant, he'll take Bivol and Unified Champion, the one from Canada that keeps getting dropped. Oh my God, he's Better Biev.
Right.
So if you don't spicing up that offer, we'll lose that opportunity again.
That's the luxury of being in Canelo's seat. You know, he's the center of attention. He's the prettiest girl at the party. Yeah. You know, everyone's chasing him. So the reality is, look, yeah, we have to make it worth his while. But you know, Bivol, Beterbiev, great opponents. They're not as big a fight as Plant, as Benavidez, you know, as Charlo. They're not. You know, you got American opponents, you got guys who've been on TV, and nothing to take away from those guys, but these are bigger fights. I think these are the bigger legacy fights.
Absolutely. Speaking of the word bigger, last one, I know you got to go. Deontay Wilder, one arbitration, the trilogy is happening. First, you got to be mad it's not on Showtime. All those fights you gave Wilder, the Brazil fight.
Look, it's, you know, it's all good. Look, you know, the thing about it is we did as many fights as we did, 12 or 13 fights with Deontay. You know, I wish him the best. You know, I root for the guy. Yes, you know, I wish all those fights. I wish Spence Pacquiao was on Showtime. I wish Wilder Fury was on Showtime. But I don't begrudge it. You know, we're not going to get every fight. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to seeing him get his get back.
Have you seen the clips with him and Malik Scott?
Yeah, I mean, look, he looks as strong as ever. He looks confident as ever. I mean, and that's the thing about the heavyweight division. You know, you land one punch at the right time, it changes the course of the fight. Absolutely. You know, and I think that's what happened in that fight. You go down the wrong path and you never get back. So, you know, you land a couple punches the other way, it's an entirely different fight. That's what's exciting about the heavyweight division.
Well, Stephen, man, thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
Absolutely,
If you
bro.
enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.